Hello, thanks for joining us. Today I'm joined by Mark Trumbull, Head of Cybersecurity Offerings for Fujitsu in Oceania, to discuss why a good cybersecurity posture is vital for building trust with customers. Mark, hi, good to see you.
Hi, Michael. Nice to be here.
Why are we talking about trust today? With all the change in the last 18 months, how important is the idea of trust for organisations?
Look, there's a lot of emphasis on cybersecurity breaches and the impact of these, and that includes the potential degradation of trust in companies, governments, institutions. It's really important, but it's also a narrow view that's misused in our industry. So we need to take a more strategic view where trust is fundamental to the positive human condition and our evolution as a society, and that really impacts at a personal, societal, economic, and geopolitical level. And trust is also a key theme for the very significant shifts in the technology industry that we're experiencing. The rapid shift to the hybrid workforce, remote working, the accelerated agenda for digital business transformation. In fact, for some companies, it's a digital reinvention, and trust can be lost. Where we see security breaches, that lack of trust that occurs can also drive, changes in organisations' brand in the market that actually affects their ability to do business well in the markets they operate in.
So clearly, their trust pretty important. Sort of the glue that holds it together.
That's right. We can think of trust as the glue that brings consumers to your business and the glue that connects the supply chain to help companies to deliver their products and services to their customers.
So from what you say then, trust is essential for organisations of all sizes across all industries. What role then does cybersecurity play in an organisation's efforts to build, to maintain trust?
Yeah, so look, cybersecurity is a term we often reference to describe how we protect information assets, which are digitized at scale that is hard for many people to really comprehend. And unfortunately, we see the rewards associated with the theft or the compromise and misuse of data hosted on technology. It's growing, and therefore threat actors and cyber attacks are daily headlines we can't ignore. So cybersecurity and trust are inextricably linked. And the point here is that when breaches occur and data theft is reported, trust can be challenged, it can be lost, and uncertainty and negative sentiment will often prevail. And that affects your ability to do business successfully. I think the other point I'll make is that regulatory changes are putting more emphasis on consumer rights for privacy, and they're mandating better protection and reporting for the critical infrastructure that protects and serves our society and economies.
So having that trust can be a competitive differentiator, really, if you succeed in building and maintaining it.
That's right. Security issues can impede business success. Good security practice can improve your brand in the marketplace. And certainly, regulatory compliance actually sort of helps drive a level of transparency that allows organizations to demonstrate more effectively competitive differentiation. And I think, we can think of cybersecurity as the pillars that uphold trust, or the reinforcing mesh that we use in concrete. It must be designed into the build to support the sustainable life cycle of a service, a building, infrastructure, or an institution.
So we can see then there are substantial risks to the reputation, the trustworthiness of an organisation, and presumably those trends are set to continue. So as our viewers consider their cyber strategy for building customer trust, what should they take into account? What can organisations actually do to stop these damaging attacks?
Well, it's a really good question. It's the million-dollar question we see in our industry at the moment, and there's a lot of excitement and a lot of options for organisations to consider in regards to how they stop the threats, identify the threats, and actually mitigate the risks associated with their business. I think we need to be conscious that the focus on and the promise of technology to deliver a better future, it's an enabler, and there's a lot of focus on that. But it's also a huge risk for protecting against threats, vulnerabilities, and the impact of those. And, it's not just about technology. Technology and cybersecurity and trust rely on good process and people to be well engaged. And, there are probably two fundamental approaches or models that we need to consider that underpin all of those other choices we can make around technology and how we protect information assets. The first one is around security awareness. We simply need to raise the awareness of security concerns and issues within organisations. Accountability at the board level, accountability at the manager level, accountability at the employer level, to help people and organisations understand that they have a personal responsibility to practice good security. And if you think about other industries where, public safety or personal awareness of risks, are well understood and well regulated, we're coming to a time now where that is starting to be addressed for cybersecurity. I think that, the technology industry has done an incredible job of taking our companies and our societies and our world to a different place. But at the same time, there's a lot of risk that comes with that. So we need to really think about introducing better regulations and frameworks, but also better practices around security awareness. That's really fundamental. And they continue to revisit the effectiveness of that, take the learnings of that and apply that back into the programs. And they ongoing manage that and they report on that.
So from all that, raise awareness and so on, you've got to create a plan, you've got to execute it. How do you go about that?
So that's the second foundation element, is you've got to have a security plan, and then you need to execute that plan. And as a good security plan starts with understanding your assets. In an organization or a company, we need to know, what are the assets that we run our business on, both physical and logical. We need to understand the threats and the vulnerabilities associated with those assets, and that helps us devise, an appropriate risk profile for that asset. And if we understand the risk profile of the assets or the fleet of assets that we're charged with, we can then actually assess the cost associated with protecting and defending those assets against cyber threats and attackers. At the same time, we can also understand the cost associated with the disruption to or the loss of those assets for the business. Having that plan gives you a much clearer view of your overall risk profile, and then allows you to make decisions about what type of cybersecurity practices, processes, and technology tool sets you should architect, design, and implement into your environments to achieve, business resilience.
To what extent does it make sense to have partnerships with other organisations who understand other bits of the picture, who are facing the similar kind of risks and difficulties? Is that a way forward?
It's a really good point you make, Michael. Not all organisations have the luxury of a budget or the cybersecurity skills and capability in their organisations to make the right decisions and not just design, implement, but also operate the technology controls required to have good cyber resilience in organisations. And the good news is there are many firms and security specialist companies that organisations can turn to, including Fujitsu and many others, that can help them identify and address the business challenges that many organisations face. And that's really important in the current climate where there's, reported millions of vacancies in the job markets for cybersecurity. So where there's a lack of cybersecurity skills or expertise to work quickly, efficiently, and effectively, leveraging partnerships is very important. And we should distinguish between the technology vendors, the suppliers of the technology and controls, and the service providers and the consultants that actually give organisations, multiple perspectives to make the right decisions around practicing and implementing good cybersecurity.
So this isn't just about having the right infrastructure, the right tools and technology. It's more than that.
That's right. And if I go back to my point about having a plan and people and process, one of the very important things you need to consider is when you have a security plan, you've got to accept the fact that that plan may not be appropriate or 100% tomorrow or next year. So you've got to go back and revisit that plan. You've got to test that plan and validate that plan against how you operate your business. And so examples there being, doing security incident fire drills, walkthroughs of how we would handle a security incident that affects our organisation. We need to exercise our business continuity programs and our disaster recovery postures. Doing that actually helps us identify gaps, helps us identify learnings, implement those back into the plan, and have a higher level of assurance and trust and confidence around our level of cyber resilience that we practice as an organisation.
So what you're saying then is that if an organisation can master the basics, if that's the right word, those aren't necessarily going to be enough to build and maintain customer trust. There's more to do than that.
Well, that's right. I mean, one of the things we need to remember too is that the rate of technology change for organisations and consumers is unprecedented. If I look at many of our customers today, and this is a common scenario, many organisations are moving away from legacy on-premise in-house technology estates and the way they manage those. They're increasingly moving many of their applications, their workloads, their business processes even into the cloud. And that's important to understand that, whereby we once had a traditional ability to control or a span of control over our technology estate, today and tomorrow, the reliance on the technology estate is far greater, but the technology estate is often hosted and managed, and the risk is shared with large service providers, global cloud providers, and the like. And we really need to understand that. And so I think, my point there is that there is a constant change, and therefore we need to constantly reassess and revisit using risk assessments and the like, asset inventories to ensure that that plan around security is adequate for where we are today and where we are going tomorrow as an organisation.
Okay, Mark, we've talked about the impact of security on customer trust. We've talked about what organisations can do to stay secure. What can Fujitsu do to help customers maintain that trust?
Well, Fujitsu's a global services provider of a wide array of IT solutions and platforms, and we've been doing this for many decades. And I'm quite proud to say that Fujitsu has been always at the forefront of understanding what is the technology platform, the technology solution that is going to deliver on our customers' business requirements, but also how do we do that in such a way that we can secure their investment and their operations of technologies in a secure manner. And we have many security experts and professionals and partnerships across the globe that allow us to do that.
And partnerships with market-leading vendors and so on, which puts you in a good place, doesn't it?
We also work with the market-leading technology vendors around cybersecurity controls, and more broadly, we work with the global cloud providers in terms of understanding and being able to activate and deploy the native security controls that are built into those cloud platforms. So for organizations today, I mentioned before, there's a lot of choice. If I'm going to put all my workloads into a global cloud somewhere across the globe, what security controls can I leverage in that hosting environment? What additional security controls do I need to design and implement to manage my residual risk outside leveraging those native security integrations that I have access to? So again, Fujitsu provides a wide array of professional services and capabilities and expertise that allow our clients to effectively design, solution, and operate those technology estates.
Right. So it's about working with customers as partners, understanding what they want, and how security can be an enabler for them.
That's right. It's about understanding what our clients are trying to achieve, working with them to ensure that what they do and how they go about it is actually done in a secure fashion, and that allows them to transform successfully, but also to engender confidence and trust with their customers, their stakeholders, and their markets.
Mark, great stuff. Thank you very much indeed for joining us today. Thank you for your thoughts. Very useful.
Thank you so much.
And if you want to know more about how Fujitsu can help you build a secure future for your organisation, please do contact your account manager or contact us using the details on the screen. And you can also stay up to date by following us on social channels.